Artemis of the Bonamigdal Amazons, the Wonder Woman who was doomed from the start, a sacrificial lamb to the gods. My favorite addition of Messner-Loebs to the Wonder Woman mythos. Artemis is many things: an Amazon, a barbarian, a leader. Let's get into how exactly she is each and every one of those. Despite the fact her namesake is one of the original patron gods of the Amazons, Artemis is part of the splinter group of Amazons who have adopted the ancient Egyptian pantheon of goddesses rather than the ancient Greek pantheon. As a member of the Bonamigdal, she was raised among a group of warriors willing to use high levels of technology to further their mission as mercenaries carrying on Antiope's goals. She was born in the original city of Bonamigdal, but left with her sisters to invade Themyscira at just 14. Once the two tribes of Amazons rejoined, Artemis took a sort of leadership position among her sisters due to her prowess in combat and skills. Due to this setting her apart from her sisters, when Hippolyta found out from the oracle that she had a vision of Wonder Woman dying, Hippolyta made sure that the Wonder Woman at the time of this death is Artemis rather than Diana. Artemis goes to man's world as Wonder Woman only to die in Diana's arms, giving her a final chance to survive, just as Hippolyta hoped. That isn't the end of Artemis's story. Rather than resting in the Elysian fields as Diana wished for her, she ends up in Hell. Once there, she becomes the bride of a prince of Hell. Then she digs herself out of her grave and joins a team of demon hunters. She takes the name of Requiem. One of the demons she tries to kill is Etrigan, which reintroduces her to the main Wonder Woman book. Returning to Hell with Wonder Woman and Wonder Girl, she helps break everyone free of Neron. From there, when Hippolyta becomes Wonder Woman, Artemis takes on Wonder Girl as her protege. She takes responsibility for training her and for keeping her safe while Diana is a goddess. From there, Artemis becomes the official leader of the Bonamigdal and shares leadership of the Amazons with Philippus once Hippolyta is no longer queen. But now that we've briefly explored the character's history, we can actually talk about the character's character and all that she really entails. Mind you, this only really applies to her appearances prior to the New 52 continuity. After that, her backstory and the general existence of the Bonamigdal is very different from her appearances in the 90s and 2000s. Above all else, Artemis is an Amazon. Her ideals fall with her sisters before anyone else. Initially, she's portrayed as only caring for her fellow Bonamigdal Amazons. She antagonizes the Themyscirans and sees them as enemies who care not for Bana lives and still see them as outsiders despite allowing them on Paradise Island. However, we do learn pretty early on that Artemis was the only Bana Amazon who thought that invading Paradise Island was a bad idea. Why did she think this? Because she didn't think that Amazons should have to fight against their fellow Amazons. Her views seem to partially change as she spends 10 years on Paradise Island as first a piece of cannon fodder and then as an outcast. This doesn't stop her from being fiercely protective of Amazon lives, Bana or Themyscira, when they are put at risk. It's her who takes on the power of the Purple Death Ray when the United States attacks Paradise Island. But when there is enough stability to be simply a Bana on Themyscira, she does not let her people be treated as any less. She makes sure to show Diana around the Bana part of the island, showing her that they are just normal people so that she can convince the Themyscirans to let the Bana participate in the contest for the next Wonder Woman. Artemis fights in that challenge so that she can prove that the Bana can measure up, and she more than proves it. She beats the one and only Wonder Woman. While many of the Amazons only join the contest for the fun of it because it gets boring living on an island for 3,000 years, Artemis fights to win. She has been training in the ways of war her entire life. Winning means something to her. She wins, and she becomes Wonder Woman. Then, as Wonder Woman, where Diana's mission was often muddled to fight fantastical threats rather than help women out directly, Artemis had a different mission. This mission was to free women and children from oppression, though she did this in a very Bonamigdal sort of way. The women of the Bana had freed themselves by being stronger and fighting back against the men who tried to enslave them. That is how they splintered off from the Themyscirans. They fought for their freedom and gave no mercy against the men who dared to hurt them, a group of independent warrior women who have no need for men beside them making wars for the Bana to fight in. So when Artemis sees women in crisis at the hands of men, she believes they should have fought back. They should have liberated themselves. She knows it's possible. Her people did it. She doesn't see how this largely isn't possible for a lot of women, but she believes it to be. She fights, because of course she does, but her goals are on spreading the word of her Amazons. And when she loses, she takes that loss with grace. She forfeits both her life and her position as Wonder Woman, champion of the Amazons. There was a chance that she could have survived had she kept the Gauntlet of Atlas. But instead, Artemis chose to give that gauntlet up to Diana. Why? Because it didn't matter to her at that moment that she was Bana and Diana was Themysciran. All that mattered was that they were both Amazons, and she wanted her sister to survive and finish the job. The sisterhood of the Amazons mattered to her more in that moment than her life. She died, accepted her fate as the sacrificial lamb meant to save her sister's life, but that never meant she was going to stop fighting for even a second. Even if Artemis didn't concern herself much with fighting as Wonder Woman, that doesn't change that she took that position because she was the best fighter among the Amazons, short of Diana herself, which means that she was able to beat both women who had been training for 3,000 years and women who had done nothing in their lives but fight. She already had to be a good fighter to survive to that point. The Bana suffered very severe losses during the war against the demon Circe summoned. Her strength has been long proven by the time she even considers joining the tournament. She doesn't even care if the Themyscirans think of her as a savage. She ends fights in ways she sees fit. She takes things seriously. When resurrected from the dead, the very first thing she does is find a job that lets her fight and hunt. She knows it's her best skill. She knows it's the most marketable. But even while Artemis is a great fighter, she's still new to a Western modern era. She's used to straight violence on a completely different continent or the complex dynamics of Paradise Island. What she's not used to is people deceiving her. She falls for the white magician's tricks because she has no reason to believe that anyone would lie to her, which for what she knows is understandable. She's Wonder Woman. Why would people be making up threats for her to face? The very idea of it makes no sense. But even so, Diana could figure it out. Artemis was left scrambling with her bow and arrow and fists to try and catch up. Fighting is what she knows best. And because the Bana lifespan is roughly the same as the average human's life, she's mastered her skills in not all too much time. At the absolute latest, the first war she was engaged in was when she was 14. Then, because Paradise Island was caught in the weird time dilation thing, she's 24 by the time we officially meet her in Wonder Woman number 90. Diana was younger. But Diana was also the chosen champion of the gods. Artemis was a completely normal Amazon. She's a brutal fighter, but given the past she's had and the way she's had to fight to stay alive and to keep her people alive at such a young age, can you really blame her? Before she even seems to appreciate the violence itself, she loves the fact that her position and the way she's able to express herself make other Amazons take her Amazons more seriously. She's not doing it all just for herself. She's doing it for all her sisters so that they have a chance. She fought as hard as she did to protect them first, and now to show just how much they can be. And that's probably what makes her such a great leader, too. After returning to Paradise Island when civil war breaks out between the two groups of Amazons, Artemis takes up the role of Shimtar, the leader of the Bana. Then, she is able to confront Hippolyta and end the war. Artemis has always been respected to some level as a minor leader, even if she wasn't fully in charge. When first meeting Diana, it is Artemis who speaks first, rather than any of the other Bana with her. It's her who invites Diana to their game. And from the first moment that the Bana are allowed in the contest for Wonder Woman, all the Bana know it's really Diana versus Artemis. When one of the Bana try and take out Diana, it isn't just to take out Diana, it's because that way Artemis is guaranteed the win. Not just so one of the Bana can win, so that Artemis can win. When she's in the world of men, she falls so easily into the position of mentor. She takes to teaching Wonder Girl how to be Wonder Girl so easily. She takes one for the team. When Darkseid is kidnapping people in a fair, Artemis doesn't wait before positioning herself as one of those kidnapped so that she can get to the bottom of it. She needs help getting out of it, but she takes the initiative. It also helps that she's deeply protective of the people she's teaching and leading. Diana didn't need to tell her to protect Wonder Girl's life with her own for her to sleep at the foot of her bed. She just cared enough to do so anyways. Once Hippolyta steps down as Queen of the Amazons, there are two leaders of the Amazons, Philippus, who handles the civil aspects of running Paradise Island, and Artemis, who handles the martial aspect of the Amazons. And Artemis took this really seriously. Amazons come to Artemis. They look to her to help. Newer Amazons train under her. She makes sure that her sisters will not suffer through another war. When the going gets tough, she buys just enough time to build the weapon that she believes will save them. She makes decisions that prioritize her people above all else. Artemis can lead a group of people through hell and get them all out alive, after getting herself out alive in the first place when she'd entered dead. While other Amazon leaders were ordained by the goddesses or proved themselves through millennia's worth of shows of strength, Artemis had none of these. All she had were herself, a bow and arrow, and a sword. I believe that Artemis is the coolest version of herself in the 90s. Seeing her with Jason Todd pisses me off. Why is he here? I think the Artemis of the 90s would have definitely beat him up had she met Jason. She protects women and children, and Red Hood loves terrorizing children. Free my girl. She would not tolerate that man long enough to make out with him. Throughout my extensive Wonder Woman reading, at a speed that is definitely running towards burnout, Artemis had to be one of my favorite characters. Every time she showed up, I was just so happy, especially in Byrne's run. I absolutely loved the way he drew her. She was so cute. In general, Artemis is just amazing, and I think more people should read about her. She's such a character. A great example of a character who is still a good person but ends up an obstacle for other characters and doesn't use squeaky clean methods, even though I wouldn't call her an anti-hero. Everyone go read Wonder Woman Volume 2, 90 to 100. Please and thank you. I'm Jay. I'm your local burrito witch. Like, comment, subscribe, etc., etc. Until next time, listeners.